So just from the media release that we initially sent out, there are some updates. Obviously, as we learn more, we saw that there were some corrections that needed to be made. So we're going to send out a clearer version. So to start off with, we're going to go kind of easy, just so I can make sure that we're getting that process.
All right. You want to give me 1 second?
Just in
like,
case there's anything new.
Dominique, get over here. Yes.
there won't be.
Just a second, sir.
Stand on the other side of the class.
Go right here, Dominique. Right there, right here. Thank you. All right, give me 1 second, please. I was going to get over. Oh, perfect.
Whatever you need. You need a white balance too?
I'm good. Thank you. Perfect. You know it. All right. And go for it.
So my name is Ray Santiago, R-A-Y-S-A-N-T-I-A-G-O. I'm a lieutenant with the Highway Patrol Public Affairs Unit. With me here is Springfield Township Fire Chief Zier, and everyone knows State Haraz Gambari, we have some updates as far as the incident that happened on the Turnpike today. There was 3 separate crashes. Before we begin, we do want to just send out our condolences and support to those families that were affected and impacted by the crashes that occurred on the Turnpike here today. And there are some updates to what we did send out earlier. Obviously, this is a very fluid situation. The investigation is ongoing, so there are some clarifications and corrections that were going to be made to the media release that we sent out, which we will update and send to your news desk later. So forgive me if I do read some of this, but I just want to make sure that you do get the most accurate information that we have at this time. So as everyone knows, that by this point the patrol is investigating a multiple vehicle fatal crash on the Ohio Turnpike. The first crash occurred at approximately 5:34 in the eastbound lanes near Milepost 49 in Swanton Township. That is Lucas County. That involved 1 commercial vehicle and 1 passenger vehicle. That crash resulted in 2 confirmed fatalities. There were 3 additional occupants that were transported to area hospitals for varying levels of injury. One of the commercial vehicles involved in that crash was hauling sulfuric acid. The Toledo Fire Department and hazmat team did establish a 150-foot perimeter out of precaution at that time to make sure that everyone was safe. The second crash occurred at approximately 5:59. That was also in the eastbound lanes at mile marker 48. That was in Swanton Township, Fulton County. That involved 4 commercial vehicles and 1 passenger vehicle. That crash resulted in 1 confirmed fatality, and again, there were multiple injuries, and those folks were transported to area hospitals. The third crash occurred at 6:24 a.m. That was in the westbound lanes near Milepost 50 in Swanton Township, Lucas County. That involved 3 commercial vehicles and 2 passenger vehicles. That crash resulted in 1 confirmed fatality. Again, all of this is still very much under investigation at this time. I will turn this over to Chief Zier now, who can speak about the mutual aid and the fire response to the crashes that occurred today. Chief?
Thank you very much. My name is John Zier. I'm the Fire Chief, Springfield Township Fire Department. The initial crash came in Lucas County in Swanton Township. Springfield Township Fire Department covers that area. Upon our arrival, we noticed a heavy crash with leakage of a hazardous material. We went ahead and called for our mutual aid partner, Toledo Fire, their hazmat unit, to come out and assess that situation and mitigate that situation for us. During our assessment of that initial scene, another crash was reported, as the trooper had alluded to, and it was in Fulton County. We did assist Fulton County with that. We started to call in more mutual aid partners, more fire departments to the scene, and then a third crash happened back in Lucas County again in the westbound lanes. We had in total over 10 fire departments that responded to these 3 major incidents with over 100 firefighters that responded to the scene, multiple different law enforcement agencies. The Turnpike personnel were phenomenal in assisting with our response and traffic control. We also worked with Ohio EMA, Lucas County EMA, Fulton County EMA, Ohio EPA, and many other entities to make our response and care for the individuals that were on scene rapid and quick treatment and transport to the hospitals. We also had multiple air ambulances on scene. We transported over 10 patients, and you know, our mainstay right now is the families of those that lost loved ones as well. So our thoughts and prayers are with them and supporting them as much as we can.
I have a follow-up question real quick. Just can you tell us a little bit about the toll, when it comes to the toll booths, is like the new one, does that have anything to do with this as a factor in the crash?
So as far as the new Turnpike toll booth that you're discussing, I'll have to defer to the Turnpike Commission themselves on that.
Do we know what caused the crash, the initial crash?
So I'll defer to the trooper on their investigation that's ongoing for that.
And with the help of Toledo Fire, they came and helped and was able to.
So Toledo Fire was in charge of the hazardous material. They did a fantastic job coming out with their hazmat unit and assisting us with the hazardous material mitigation while we were attending to the patients for treatment and transport from all three of those major scenes. The interoperability and the unified command that we've been prepped with, you know, with all the equipment that is granted from, you know, the state of Ohio and such, and Haraz's assistance comes into play here and makes these scenes run as fluid as possible and as quick as possible, getting the treatment to those individuals on those scenes as quick as possible and getting them off the scenes. All of those 10 patients were transported to UTMC, Toledo Hospital, and St. Vincent's with unknown injuries at this time. Yes, at least 10 were transported and 4 total fatals, yes. I'm going to defer over here to Haraz at this time.
Good afternoon, Haraz Gambari, state representative from Wood County and also a member of the Ohio Turnpike Commission. I'll get to your question briefly about the new tolling system, but before we do that, I think it's vitally important that we underscore that there are families right now grieving, and the thoughts and the prayers of not only the Ohio Turnpike Commission, but also our first responders and our fellow citizens here across the state of Ohio are certainly with these families. We had an incredible response of first responders to these 3 separate vehicle crashes today. This is going to be an ongoing investigation, and so I think it would be a little bit preliminary to indicate what could have caused this accident, as these scenes are still active right now and still under investigation right now. I haven't received any information that this new tolling system had any part to do with this crash, but I am sure that is something that the Ohio State Highway Patrol and others that are investigating this tragic crash, these tragic crashes today, will certainly look into. I know this morning there was some fog, and so again, that's another consideration that they want to look into. Was there any weather patterns that may have affected visibility on the Ohio Turnpike today? But before we do that, we need to take time to make sure all the families are notified that have been impacted by this. I was speaking with some of the individuals that were transported to UTMC, 9 different patients I spoke to at UTMC just before coming over here today that have been taken there for a variety of reasons, just precautionary health evaluations. Again, as they alluded to earlier, this was a hazmat incident. And whenever there's a hazmat incident, that takes on a whole different meaning of our first responders when it comes to precautions that they have to take. Again, oftentimes when these calls come in, you have first responders that are running toward danger, because that's what the women and men that serve in the Highway Patrol and our fire department and EMS do day in and day out. And so we want to make sure that the individuals that responded on that scene today are evaluated, and if there's any medical conditions that they're treated, and obviously that they have the time to recuperate before they come back out to the roadway. As was mentioned, there was also some other individuals that work in different capacities that are being evaluated right now, in addition to the individuals that were involved in the crashes themselves. So a very tragic day on the Ohio Turnpike. for the families that were involved. Thoughts and prayers with those families that have been or will be notified of the fatalities that were involved, but also those injuries. The other thing I really want to stress is with our first responders specifically, and that doesn't just include police, fire, and EMS. We have workers on the Turnpike Commission. We have tow truck drivers. We have other individuals that are passing by that may have stopped to help out in these situations. Mental health is a big thing, and the things that our first responders see day in and day out on critical incidents is something that we also have to have a very keen eye toward, making sure that we're treating that, we're talking to them. So I want to take a moment to also just thank the chaplain from the Ohio State Highway Patrol's District 1 that came up here to visit with families and visit with workers and offer his services. And we're making sure that just as our first responders had a unified response this morning across a variety of agencies, that we as a state and the Ohio Turnpike Commission also have a unified response. So I am sure there will be more details in the days, ahead, but I would just caution folks to please not jump to any conclusions on what could have caused this accident today, but let the investigation be thorough and complete, because again, we're going to have a full report, and these families that were involved will certainly want to know what contributed to the cause of today's crashes.
Just to reconfirm, as far as the injuries, do we have a number of how many people were actually injured?
I would defer that back over to the chief. I think he may have provided that in his opening remarks. The only thing I would say to that is, tremendous thanks to the folks at the hospital. I think it's 3 hospital chief that these patients have been transported to. So big heart of gratitude to those doctors and nurses and others that are working at that hospital to make sure all patients are treated as well. Chief, anything else you want to add?
Sure, to stop. Thank you. We did have a minimum of 10 injured within those 3 crashes. However, we had additional individuals that were that needed transported for the hazardous material release and exposure from the Turnpike Commission and other entities that were exposed. And as Haraz alluded to, we want to take care of our own as well. So they were transported. Some of those individuals were transported just for evaluation.
How are they doing?
We have no information at this time on any of the individuals. It's unknown, but we will have that information as the day goes on.
Anyone from the Turnpike speak about, is it open now?
I'll let the trooper speak.
Good morning. I'm Chief Engineer Chris Matta for the Turnpike. Right now we do have 2 lanes open westbound, so our diversion at Toll Plaza 52 has been removed, so traffic is flowing westbound. Eastbound, we still are currently closed completely, so traffic is being diverted at the toll interchanges leading into this area, which is Toll Plaza 39, Toll Plaza 25.
Airport Highway was a mess coming here, going west. So.
I imagine so, because I understand there's some construction on alternate 20A.
We would just ask, as those people are taking alternate routes to get around the Turnpike closure, slow down and give yourself some additional time. We don't need any additional crashes on any of the alternate routes. And, when you see those, not just red lights of fire trucks and ambulances, but blue lights of the Highway Patrol and other first responders, but also those orange lights on the Turnpike Commission vehicles and ODOT vehicles and tow truck drivers and other folks, slow down and move over to allow those folks ample opportunity to work that scene so that they themselves can get home to their families at the end of the night. So the Ohio Turnpike Commission is working to get the roadway open back up. There's a lot of folks that travel the Turnpike on a daily basis for work, for commerce, for vacation. But first and foremost, we want to make sure that the scene is secured, investigated, and cleared properly. And then as those roadways open back up, just give yourself a little bit of ample time for folks that are watching until the roads can get back up to flowing at full capacity.